Hi guys, Chris here with Super Savvy Travelers. Hey, again, we're so excited because we have Nick Metta with us from Studio Legale Metta. And today we're going to go into what happens when I die. What happens to my property? What are the Italian succession laws? So we're going to discuss that and take a bit of a deep dive into that so that you know. And here we go. Now let's talk about succession laws. You know, we don't want to think about our own personal story ending here on this planet, especially after we just bought a house. But it's a thought, and it's something we do have to think about because we do have kids, and we do, want to make sure that everything goes to the right person. Can you give us sort of an overview of how the succession laws in Italy work, especially with like maybe somebody who's not an Italian citizen?
Sure, absolutely. So obviously here there will be a lot to say, and there are so many things that very often, as you said, go not really, I don't want to say unnoticed, but just ignored, just because it is not a thought that it is pleasant to focus on, and but it is definitely, especially in certain situations, it is extremely important to plan for the future. And people might have a fantastic estate planning scheme in their or program in their home country, and they might not just think about what happens overseas. They're either assumptions or just because they don't think about it. So since most of your viewers are Americans, there is something that is common to almost all the states in the U.S., and also will apply to actually people who are in the UK and in Australia, which is a standard basic rule of law, according to which people who live in the US, if they have property, real estate property in Italy, the inheritance rules applicable to that property in Italy are the ones of the country where the property is located. So Italy. So that is the default rule applicable in all common law countries. So and states. So therefore, it is very important to know how it works in Italy because that's the law that applies. However, there is a way for people who live in common law countries like the US to regulate, to make sure that even the distribution of the assets in Italy will be governed by the home country rules, the rules of the United States. And that is thanks to a couple of rules that are applicable in Italy and within Europe, according to which anyone who buys a property in Italy can elect the law of their citizenship as the law to regulate their succession, their inheritance distribution, or the laws of their residency. That's also an option. So having this option, my recommendation is if you have a will already in place, which very often people already have a will, you just create an addendum. An addendum to a will has a specific name. It's called codicil. And so you can have a codicil where you say, by the way, with respect, if I have any property overseas in Italy, or you can just keep it extremely simple and say, I want for my assets that are based in Italy, the US law to apply, and specifically the laws of California, the laws of New York, because as we know, each state has its own inheritance rules. Yeah. So by adopting this codicil, basically Italy will have to adopt a foreign legislation for the distribution of the assets, and you will not be subject to the Italian forced heirship, according to which certain family members will be entitled to certain inheritance rights, regardless what you write in your will, like spouse, children, sometimes parents, and so forth.
Okay. Okay, that makes sense. That's great. Okay. Now the codicil has to be probably, it's a letter and it probably needs to be notarized, do you think, or?
That's the question. So, in order for the codicil to be valid, it needs to have the same form of a will. So, it needs to be written as you would write a will. So, if in the state where you are, it is required that you notarize your signature on your will, also the codicil should be notarized.
Okay.
In some states, it is not required that you notarize the will. The will. So you don't have to notarize the codicil either. And also another option you have, if you don't have a chance to visit a notary, you can fully handwrite a codicil, because that would be a form that will be acceptable in Italy. So it is very flexible. Basically, Italy says the will needs to be valid either in the country of legislation or in the country of jurisdiction. So Italy will have jurisdiction because the property is in Italy,
Right.
and Italy will accept a fully handwritten will.
Okay.
But also Italy will acknowledge that you might not be aware of the rules, the formalities that are applicable to wills in Italy. So they will say, as far as the will is valid in your country and the country of the law that you are choosing, it will be valid for us.
Okay. Okay, good. That makes sense. That's great. Okay, good.
Yes, and it makes it very easy also, because if you're in Italy already and you have your home, but you forgot to notarize your will, you can make a will in Italy adopting the US law, or you can do in Italy the codicil to go with your US will, and you can do the will in Italy just handwritten, and you can do it in Italian or in English.
Oh, fantastic. Oh, that's great. Okay. Well, that makes it relatively simple then for anybody that has any property overseas.
Yeah, it is. It makes definitely, it allows you to plan with rules you're more familiar with,
Mhm.
which usually gives you peace of mind. Yes.
Yeah, that's fantastic. What are some of the things that you run into on that line? You know, the whole succession or inheritance line. What are some of the things that your clients run into, or they ask you about, or something we should be aware of?
So very often it happens that there are people who come from like previous marriages or same-sex couples and things like that. And so in all situations where there is a little bit more of a more complex family situation, it is definitely advisable to review the situation and make sure that you adopt the safest approach possible. Because if you are in a situation where you already know that there is the risk for possible challenges, chances are that when the time comes, that will might be challenged,
Right.
might be challenged in court. And so the more prudent approach you have had in terms of formalizing the will, adopting a form that Italy will be more receptive to accept or more familiar with, and so forth, the less dispute and friction you will have, or let's say your heirs will have when the time comes. So for example, one of the things that people think to be prudent and do, but actually they make it worse, is creating two wills. That is a very common thing that people think about to do because they read about it. The internet is so full of articles on many websites when they say, if you're buying in Italy, you need an Italian will for your Italian property. And that's, in my opinion, is a huge mistake. Or it is a huge mistake because, first of all, you don't need it. So you're going likely to spend more money for no reason. And secondly, because two wills might pose a risk of possible conflict. They might partially or totally overlap on certain terms or areas of your estate planning, and that might create conflicts. The only disputes, or most of the disputes we have in court regarding international inheritance distribution, or because there was more than one will in
Oh,
more than one country. Yeah.
okay. Wow. Wow. That makes sense. Yeah, there's a lot of stuff on the internet, and so much of it is conflicting information. I really appreciate all of that information. Is there more that you wanted to say on the inheritance thing? For me, I have not even thought about it. So to be honest with you, I don't even have a whole lot of questions because I don't think about it. And I think I'm
Oh,
probably much like most people out there. We're like, let's get our houses and go play, but we don't think about ultimately what has to be thought about. So is there anything else that you have?
well, I frankly just I would say adopt a informed approach, which doesn't mean necessarily to take huge steps or actions. Once again, my recommendation is just to do that simple addendum without overkilling, doing a full new will for your Italian assets, unless uh, I think only in one case we had two wills, but it was such a very unique situation. But and you know, this is since I started practicing, which is more than 20 years. So really, for the very largest majority of cases, I don't think you have to worry too much. Once again, unless you have a difficult or complex family situation. And at that point, I would definitely recommend that you consult with somebody who can help you plan to have a bulletproof estate planning that would take into consideration the legislation of both countries uh, and make sure that the transition is going to be smooth.
Yeah, that makes sense. I can see how there would be problems if, let's say, you have two families that are divorced or widowed or whatever, and then they all come together, and then there's a bunch of kids and God knows what all else. So, yeah, that makes a lot of sense
Yeah,
for situations like
yeah.
that. I'm glad to know that our situation is very simple, and we will do a codicil on
Mhm.
that and split
Yes.
everything up. And then you can forget about it and go play. Once you get that all put to bed, you can
Exactly.
have fun.
Exactly. And there's not even because some people ask me, so okay, I do a will in the US, I do the addendum, or I incorporate the addendum into the will because I'm making a new one. Fine. Do I have to translate it so it's ready to be received in Italy? Because every time I use some documents in Italy, I have to provide a certified translation, right? So that's a very common question. And I tell my clients, no need of translation at this time because you might need to change that will, and then all the money and effort in translating it, it's thrown out the window. So just take it easy, as you said, live your life, go play, go have fun, and when the time comes, let them who worry about translating the final version. And you know what I mean. It's nothing too crazy to do.
Good, good, good. I love that. I love that. Good. So you can take your mind off dying and go out and live.
Exactly. Yes, exactly. Yes.
Excellent, excellent, excellent. Well, gosh, we got again more gold for our channel, and we just love it. And we so appreciate you being here and helping us out on that stuff. So, yeah, and we're so excited. We hope to see you maybe this summer if you have a chance to grab a lunch. We can head over to Bari and see you guys. And
I would love it. I
I,
would absolutely love it.
I,
Absolutely love it. I can't wait for the regions to open up again. It's well, otherwise, I always have business reason to go visit you.
Yeah, that's true. You do. You do. We're figuring something out, and then we'll have a massive lunch, and then yeah.
Yeah, and talk business, obviously. I will have my little affidavit. I'm going to visit Chris to talk business. I can leave my region.
I promise to ask you one legal question, and then we'll have a massive lunch.
Yes.
Oh, that'll be so fun. Well, thank
Exactly.
you again, Nick. This has been absolutely wonderful. I want to also thank you for taking such great care of our guys. I get so many emails going, "Oh, I'm so excited. We just met with Nick," and they always come away hopeful and full of
Oh,
excitement and love you and everything else. So thank you again for everything that you do for us. It's wonderful.
absolutely. Thank you so much. Thank you for everybody who, they're so nice with comments. I really enjoy sharing,
Yeah.
and obviously I'm more than happy to help people who need more specific personalized assistance. And I really thank you for the opportunity, to share, and more than happy to have more of these interviews if you like.
Oh, of course. I would have one every day, but I know you're busy. So, but we'll figure out something that it's
Well, people will get bored with if people will get bored with me. Have enough. Yeah.
no, I don't know about
But
that. But
we'll do one in person.
yeah, and it's nice that you come up with questions that people ask you, so then they don't have to come ask you that same question, which is really a nice thing. It's already answered.
Yes.
And I tell them, make your appointment with Nick and write down all your questions, and then stick to the script. Don't go off, So yeah.
Yes.
Really well.
Yes. And funny you should say that, because many times the last 5-10 minutes, when there is 5-10 minutes, I tell my clients, okay, so I'll tell you a couple of things. Tell me if you know about this, because many people forget to ask, and then they say, oh man, okay, this is worth the entire consultation. That's great. Yeah, because as you said, if you don't know, how can you ask, questions that you don't know they exist, that those issues exist or opportunities exist. So yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
So Chris, next time you're in Italy, we're going to do an interview in person. Promise.
Oh my gosh. Okay. Yes. Maybe, I don't know anything about Bari, but I have this mad desire to go there and see it. All of Puglia, I've seen pictures, and maybe we'll have
absolutely. You're 100% welcome to come over. Otherwise, I'll be more than happy to go to Scalea, Calabria. I love that area. And so either way.
Oh, okay. Okay. Okay, good. It's a date. We will see you when we get there.
Fantastic. All right. Thank you again. Thanks a lot.
Thanks, Nick. We'll see you later.